slamming the government and the opposition for failing to ensure that the IEBC is properly reconstituted. Now, that was followed by, of course, his sentiments being echoed by thousands of Kenyans through their social media platforms who called for the reconstitution of the IEBC, some faulting the president and some faulting the opposition, but the government in its defense. Of course, we saw yesterday Deputy President Professor Kithure Kindiki saying that the government is not to blame because there's a case in court that is halting the reconstitution of the IEBC. Now, we saw Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka, who has been faulted by some of the government supporters of, being part of the reasons as to why the IEBC has not been reconstituted yet, because they say the nomination of, Kokimoli was the reason as to why there is a case in court regarding the panel that will be vetting the IEBC commissioners and ensure that we have a functioning and a properly constituted IEBC. Also, Deputy President, who was ousted Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, of course, calling for the reconstitution of the IEBC, saying the election outcome is as credible as the process of reconstituting the IEBC. Well, that is what has been making headlines over the weekend across the country, with political leaders diving deep into the debate about the reconstitution of the IEBC. Now, apart from that, we do know yet again that over the weekend there has been a conversation surrounding what is happening in the country politically, and we saw President William Ruto in the Coast region officially opening the parliamentary games, and we saw the president winning the 50 meters race, though some say Speaker Amason Jeffa Kingi did win, but the president was announced the winner. But away from what is happening in the country, we saw Syria's president Bashar al-Assad was finally toppled yesterday in Syria, in what has been termed as a big win for Syria. Now, the biggest concern has been just immediately after that particular incident, there were reports that Israel had already started invading Syria. That, of course, is a situation that continues to unfold across, as world leaders continue to follow on the same, just to see what will happen. Remember, Bashar al-Assad and the family of the Assad family has been ruling Syria for over 50 years. And this comes at a time when there has been a call for change of leadership in that particular country. So we'll be, of course, following up on that. But here in the country, yesterday, we saw a report by Mzalendo on the Parliament Scorecard 2024 and what the Parliament has been able to accomplish, what has been the performance of the members of National Assembly and the Senate so far this year. And the report is not so good, because we have at least 20 MPs who've been slammed for being silent in the National Assembly. And in fact, some say some are roaring in the villages, but when it comes to the House, where it matters the most, where they're supposed to make laws, where they're supposed to do their oversight role, they are silent. And of course, some of the leaders who've been listed as the most silent members of the National Assembly include Kapseret MP Oscar Suri and Makadara MP, that is George Aladwa. In that particular report released by Mzalendo, the National Assembly again is on the spot, because 40 sessions out of the 158 sessions that were held this year, 40 were adjourned for lack of quorum. 40, that amounts to around 25% of sessions that were adjourned in the National Assembly. As well, in the Senate, around 15 sessions out of the 177 sessions were adjourned for lack of quorum. This comes at a time when members of the National Assembly and the Senate have been faulted for, of course, not attending sessions. Now, among the most silent members of Parliament, a huge number of them failed to even turn up, especially in the Senate. 3 of the most silent members of the Senate failed to turn up during the voting on crucial bills. 4 crucial bills in the Senate. All of them were absent in the voting days for those crucial bills. In the National Assembly, a number of them voted actually in favor of bills that Kenyans termed as punitive. We'll be looking at that deeply this particular morning here on New Dawn. But before that, I just want us to have a look at what is making headlines in the news this particular morning on a day that, of course, Kenyans, like I said, continue to mount pressure over the reconstitution of the IEBC. Following the sentiments of Justice Isaac Lenaola, who called on the government and the opposition to ensure that the IEBC is properly constituted. And yesterday, Rigathi Gachagua, citing the Kriegler report, said that that particular report says 3 years before the elections, the IEBC must be properly reconstituted to ensure a free and credible process. Remember, there are concerns regarding the registration of new voters, as well as just preparedness ahead of the 2027 general elections. And they say the earlier the IEBC is reconstituted, and then the earlier the better the preparation in terms of the electoral body's preparedness in handling the general elections, which is just almost 2.5 years away from happening. Now, on that note, let's just shift gears to what is making headlines this particular morning. And Kapseret MP Oscar Sudi and his Makadara counterpart George Aladwa are among 20 MPs who have remained silent in Parliament this year. This is according to a report by Mzalendo, an organization that monitors parliamentary performance. The report also mentioned 11 other MPs from President William Ruto's UDA party who have been least active in various bills seemingly pushed by the president in Parliament. And as Electen Odera now reports, 3 senators have also been silent on bills presented before the Senate.
In the report, the number of MPs who remained silent in Parliament over the past year has increased from 19 in 2023 to 20 in 2024. According to Mzalendo, this has widened the gap between the expectations and essential interest of Kenyans and that of Parliament. Kapseret MP Oscar Sudi, a close ally of President William Ruto, and his Makadara counterpart, a prominent figure in Nairobi politics, George Aladwa, are among the 20 MPs who have remained silent in Parliament despite being vocal in the political space. UDA leads the list with 11 MPs who have remained silent despite the president using MPs to advance his agenda in Parliament. Other UDA MPs mentioned include Kuresoi South MP Joseph Tonoi, Subuki MP Samuel Kinuthia, Mathias Nyamabe of Kuria South, Rongai MP Paul Chabor Kibet, Alfred Kiprono of Kuresoi North, and Stephen Washira of Laikipia West. Other ODM MPs who have not spoken in Parliament include George Aladwa of Makadara, Paul Abor of Rongo, Mohamed Mashel of Mvita, and Borabo MP Patrick Osero. Kitui Women Representative Irene Kasalu of Wiper Party has also not been spared.
Order.
In the report, 3 out of 5 ODM MPs lead the list of the most vocal MPs in Parliament. The MPs include Funyula MP Wilberforce Ojembo, Biti Selachi of Dagoretti North, Seme MP James Nyikal, Makalu Mulu of Wiper Party, the MP for Kitui Central, and Eldas MP elected on a Jubilee ticket, Adan Ohilie. In the Senate, Kwale Senator Issa Boy and nominated Senators Shakila Mohammed of Wiper and Betty Batuli of ODM are the only senators who have remained mum in Parliament. The 3 did not even attend the voting exercises for the following bills, including Housing Bill, amendments to the IEBC Act, Universal Healthcare Bill, and Sugar Bill. Senator Samson Cherargei tops the list of the most vocal senators, followed by Eddie Okech of Migori, nominated Senator Tabitha Mutinda, Okongo Mogeni, Nyamira Senator, and nominated Senator Gloria Oruoba. MPs who contributed to presenting the most bills in Parliament this year include Didymus Barasa, Peter Masara, Rahim Dawood, Joyce Kamene, David Gikaria, and Sabina Chege.
Take your seat.
However, the organization expressed disappointment over MPs' failure to attend parliamentary sessions, with 40 out of 158 National Assembly sessions being adjourned due to lack of quorum. In a statement, Zalenda's Executive Director, Caroline Gaita, expressed dismay at some of the actions taken by Parliament this year, including the passage of bills that go against the will of the people, violations of the voting system in public participation exercises, and attempts to undermine the Constitution by introducing bills to amend the existing ones. In the statement, and I quote, "These bills have been tabled in a period where Kenyans continue to grapple with the high cost of living and a harsh business environment, unemployment, a healthcare crisis with doctors' strikes, medication shortages, and a dysfunctional chief." Read part of the statement. The organization says the issues including human rights violations, including abductions, arbitrary arrests, and unexplained murders, poor disaster management, and alarming cases of femicide indicate a growing disconnect between the House of Representatives and their representatives. Electin Odera, K24 TV.
Well, we continue the bulletin now, and as the reconstitution of IEBC takes center stage amid calls from Kenyans for the process to be prioritized, former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has added his voice to the debate, calling for the urgent reconstitution of the commission. The former Madira lawmaker was quick to slam the head of state over allegedly capturing the legislature, while calling for the church to be the voice of the voiceless. After Supreme Court Judge Justice Isaac Lenaola criticized the government over failure to reconstitute the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, with thousands of Kenyans through their social media platforms echoing his sentiments, ousted DP Rigathi Gachagua has raised concerns over lack of a functional electoral body, calling for its urgent reconstitution.
We are calling for the constitution of IEBC urgently and as of yesterday. Ndio waanze kupanga mikakati ya uchaguzi so that the process can be as credible as the expected outcome. Na hiyo Wakenya wakiuliza si ati wamefanya makosa, ni kwa sababu ni haki yao.
Gachagua, whose successor's appointment was marred with questions over lack of a properly constituted IEBC to approve his nomination, while citing the Kriegler report on IEBC reconstitution, was quick to note that the credibility of election results depends on the process of reconstitution. His sentiments echoed by Nyandarua Senator John Methu.
An election is as credible as a process. Kriegler report walisema the electoral commission must be in place 3 years before the election. Sasa tumebaki mwaka mbili unusu. Hakuna IEBC. And people can read mischief. Kwa nini IEBC hapana weko?
Ikiwa mpaka watu wakubwa sana majaji wa Supreme Court wamesema Kenya hii haiwezi kuendelea kama hakuna IEBC. Na wewe kama rais umepatiwa nafasi ya kuweka IEBC. Weka IEBC kama hakuna kitu unaficha. Na wacha kuambia watu ati tunataka mwaka 7. Mimi nimechaguliwa miaka 5 na inatosha.
The duo also slammed the government over failure to tolerate divergent opinions. Rigathi Gachagua blasting the president over alleged capture of the legislature.
Wabunge wamenyamazishwa isipokuwa hawa. Si ndio? Maseneta wamenyamazishwa. Kila mtu amenyamazishwa. Kanisa isipoongea si tutakwisha. So we want to encourage the Church of Christ to continue standing with the people of Kenya and to be truthful and to talk for the people of Kenya. Be tolerant to divergent opinion. Hao wa Kenya wakisema mambo hapana iko sawa, hapana pigia hao makelele. Hao ndio wamekuajiri kazi. Makasiriko ni ya nini? Don't get annoyed when you are told things are not working. Because kila kiongozi ako na wadozi wake. Na sisi watu ya kuchaguliwa wadozi wetu ni watu wa Kenya.
The church function was Gachagua's first public appearance since the scuffle that ensued on the 28th of November during a burial service in Limuru, Kiambu County. His allies John Methu and Karungo Wathangwa being among those sought after by detectives following the melee.
Tuliwekwa kwa DCI siku mzima kuanzia asubuhi mpaka jioni. Ati kwa sababu tumesimama na Rigathi Gachagua. Muendelee kutuombea kwa sababu hata watushike, watufunge, wafanye namna gani. Sisi tutaendelea kusimama hapo.
Now, still on the same matter is that Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka claims that there is a plot to appoint a friendly IEBC commission, resulting in the current IEBC reconstitution stalemate. Kalonzo has distanced himself and Azimio coalition from the cases before the judiciary that have blocked the formation of a new electoral body. laying the blame squarely on President William Ruto. The Wiper leader says the president is using stooges to derail the process. Martin Opio, as Martin Opio now reports, the Wiper leader has refuted claims that he has been secretly meeting President William Ruto at State House, Nairobi.
As the debate for the reconstitution of election agency IEBC gains momentum, Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka is blaming President Ruto while absolving himself from the blame over the stalemate. According to Wiper leader, the government is using individuals to derail the process, naming Speaker Moses Wetangula as among the figures derailing the process in a bid to have friendly commissioners.
Speaker Wetangula had 1 week after Azimio complied with that directive of the court to forward the names to President William Ruto. But they gerrymandered in order to allow the fellows they have given the mandate to delay the whole process to move to court.
The government has claimed that Wiper and Azimio Party affiliates are responsible for creating the crisis. After the High Court gave the green light to Azimio to hand over the name of the person to represent the coalition within 48 hours, Koki Muli's name was forwarded, but Augustine Muli quickly moved to the Court of Appeal, blocking the process once again.
When Azimio was given 48 hours to forward the name of the candidate to be in the panel that will constitute the IEBC, we had to adhere to the strict timeline by the court. And we gave the name of Dr. Koki Muli. I think she'll be issuing a statement. But there are people who are afraid of our abilities. They want to get user-friendly candidates. All right? So she had herself won the case. And so this is a matter where the state itself has gone to appeal. They went to court to appeal in a Kiambu court. We have said this before. And then after that appeal, they have not even prepared to prosecute the appeal, meaning they are not even interested.
Another case is before Kiambu Law Courts, which blocks the selection panel from proceeding with its work on grounds that persons living with disability were not factored in, contrary to the Constitution.
So William Ruto should come out of the slumber and do something. The country is waiting for him. You know, they tell their proxies, because the fellows who have gone to court are the proxies of UDA. Tell your proxies to withdraw the case. Name within the next 1 week the panel, and then the next few months we should have in place an IEBC.
Kalonzo claims that Supreme Court Judge Isaac Lenaola did not have facts regarding the reconstitution of IEBC and instead turned the heat on the judiciary as part of the ploy.
There's a judge who talked about this, and it's unfortunate that he didn't seem to have the facts. So this is the fact. State capture continues, even of the judiciary. The fact they are not even able to move this process forward. So we are calling them out that this is a William Ruto strategy to make sure that there is no IEBC.
Lenaola blamed Azimio for the stalemate while asking Kenyans to demand functional election body immediately.
Why don't we, for example, have a hashtag, appoint IEBC, now, and spread it? Those who have opportunity will actually follow it, and they will do something. Why is social media, why is the IEBC not being constituted? Because Azimio can't appoint their representative to the panel. Is that something to hold a country hostage for 2 years?
Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka maintains that he has no plan to meet with President Ruto, as claimed in section of social media.
People of all types of speculation. Yeah, some others saying, I've been going to State Out at midnight. Awashindwa sana. Awa ni waongo wa ajabu. For us, we are very clear on the way forward. In fact, we propose to issue a statement, pre-Jamhuri statement. I know that some people in the media have been saying, oh, we are issuing statement there, but we will do a mixture. We will talk when it is necessary to be able to put these people on their toes, because they are obviously a lying regime and they have been found out. We are calling them out.
The country is at a crossroads 3 years before the elections, with the Kriegler report recommending that IEBC must be fully constituted 2 years before the election. The deadline for boundaries delimitation exercise is getting close.
Even the matter, very important matter of the independent electoral boundaries. You see, there was a time limit within which we should now come up with a review of the boundaries. Under NADICO, we had proposed, I think, 15 years. And if they had taken the time to marshal the whole parliament, they marshaled when they were impeaching Gachagua, right? They marshaled more than 2/3. They should have marshaled the same to make sure that constitutional amendment was done so that the country would not be in a crisis, a constitutional crisis. So we join with the church. The church has called out, I think they gave them 12 days.
Martin Opio, K24 TV, Nairobi.
Meanwhile, Deputy President Kithure Kindiki has absolved the government of blame over failure to constitute the IEBC fully. Kindiki, who was in Navaholo, Kakamega County, for church service, said IEBC would have been fully reconstituted were it not for court injunction that stopped the recruitment process. The DP now wants parties involved, rather embroiled in the dispute over the representatives in the recruitment panel, to solve the matter out of court so that the process can continue.
Kuna mambo kidogo ya IEBC imesemwa. And I just want to urge that the reason that there is no IEBC at the moment is because some Kenyans went to court and filed an injunction. And there is an injunction against the establishment of the recruitment panel that is supposed now to recruit IEBC commissioners. So we are asking the parties that have taken this matter to court to try and reach an out-of-court settlement so that we can unblock that process and complete the reconstitution of the IEBC as soon as possible. This is a country governed by law. I have seen there are some who are blaming the government. Now, when there's an injunction, the government is not able to do anything. So we request those who filed those cases to go and reach an out-of-court settlement so that the injunction is lifted and we can move towards reconstituting an IEBC so that the people of Kenya can have political stability and the by-elections that are pending can be concluded as soon as possible. There are some political parties also who have not agreed on who will be part of the task force or who will be part of the selection panel. We also want those political parties who have not agreed on who their representative will be to also go on and agree as soon as possible.
Now, in a much rather expected rebuttal by one of his close allies, Nandi Senator Samson Cherargei has come out to defend President William Ruto following the accusations by Supreme Court Justice Isaac Lenaola on the government's continued delay to set up IEBC. The setup of the commission has been a topic of concern following the conclusion and submission of the NADCO report, which stipulated proposals on the manner in which it should be done with no substantial progress 2 years down the line. Alanoino tells us more.
Following Justice Isaac Lenaola's criticism towards the government and the opposition for failing to constitute the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, Nandi Senator Samson Cherargei has now defended the president, saying the blame purely lies with the judiciary.
What the Kenyans and other people who want to like on it, they should be pushing for judiciary to expeditiously decide and determine, to hear and determine the case challenging the selection panel of IEBC. If the courts tomorrow or the day after or any time decide to hear and determine the case on the selection of the IEBC, then that will bring the matter to rest and it will start the process of selection panel, recruiting, nominating and subsequent appointment of commissioners of IEBC.
Cherargei further called out the judiciary over what he termed as hypocrisy while putting them to task for the matter to be finally put to rest.
When it comes to stopping government programs, the judiciary is quick to issue orders ex parte and to issue orders under certificate of urgency. Why don't they leave the order and allow the selection panel to begin their job in recruitment of IEBC? So judiciary also should come clean. So when I see people within Kenya who just want to oppose everything, who want to blame parliament, who want to blame president conveniently, they are lying before the public.
This comes even as a section of clerics have urged politicians to promote peace and stop dividing communities for political gains. Led by Federation of Evangelical and Indigenous Christian Churches of Kenya, General Secretary Bishop David Thagana, the clerics have challenged politicians to embrace peace.
I have recently enjoyed watching very terrible images of people fighting in a barrio, which is very, very unfortunate for our country. And we just pray and wish that we will not see any more of that, especially now that we are having this moment of Christmas.
Speaking during the annual meeting for clergymen under the Glory Outreach Assembly Church, the clerics took issue with the remarks recently made by human rights defender Caliph Khalif that touched on sensitive issues such as land and marginalization that were perceived as incitement against particular communities.
Tunakataa kabisa ama tunapinga statement zingine ama misemo mingine ya viongozi ambao yanatoka maeneo yale ya Lamu ambao ni majirani wetu wa Tana River, hasa ya mambo ya ukabila.
The clerics have further insisted that Kenyans are constitutionally allowed to freely live and hold truth to power. Alan Owino for K24.
That story by Alan Owino wraps up our news this particular morning. At this particular moment in time, I just want us to take a brief breather. I'll be back with what is making headlines in the local dailies. Don't go away.